Okay, back again. So I put this hat on here because you see that? I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing this because I'm proud
looks
of being
good.
in the Navy. I'm going to get some more important things that affected my life through the Navy. All right? Like I said, I was in Newport, Rhode Island, and what I was doing there, and the year is 1958. And I finally get orders to go to another destroyer. And this destroyer is called the Wittek, Witek, USS Wittek, number 848. Remember that number? No. Wittek 848. And kind of strange because this ship, all right, is stationed. I mean, talk about things about true story. This ship is stationed in New London, Connecticut. Bing. Anyone know why I say it's strange? Because it's stationed in New London, Connecticut? Well, let me tell you something if you don't know. New London, Connecticut is not a naval base for destroyers or other large ships. It's a naval base for, anyone know? Oh, you're right, submarines. It's a submarine naval base.
All right.
Now, you figure that out, okay? I get called. I mean, my life in the Navy is really one strange trail, and here's another strange going to New London, Connecticut. Not to serve on a submarine, but to serve on a destroyer, with my rate as a radarman. Well, so I go. I mean, I got orders. Nothing. I can't call my parents and tell them pick me up. I don't want to stay here anymore. I'm in the Navy, in the military. Let's put it that way. So, go to the Wittek and find out that this ship. Now, this is another true story. Okay, this is a special ship that is used by, civilian and military engineers who have come up with new inventions, for the type of ship that we have for a destroyer. Could be weapons, it could be communications, it could be anything. But before that, these civilians that have these scientists who have these inventions, they have to test them. So guess where they're testing them? On the Wittek. Okay? So not only is this ship have military naval personnel, of course, to operate the ship, but when we go out to sea, the majority of the time, you have a bunch of civilian engineers aboard the ship testing out their invention to see if it's, the military wants it. So what we did, we would go out for maybe 30 days at a time, out to the middle of the ocean. Yeah, the ocean, people, so huge. God, I mean, you realize that 70% of our Earth is water? Mm-hmm. And 4% of your body is water?
Nothing.
Am I don't, is that right?
Only 4?
Yeah.
It's pretty small, yeah.
Oh.
And if I'm wrong, there's a number down at the bottom of the screen, okay? You'll talk to somebody in a foreign country and make sure you know their language. So anyway, this is what we did. we went out and we circled around a certain area of the ocean. And these engineers would test their invention, And then we'd come back to New London, okay? And then we would start over again with another group. If we, it all depended how busy we were or whatnot. But it was a good ship. I mean, overall, the Navy, the guys aboard the ship and all that, I got to know them well. I mean, we were good buddies, good friends. And when we would go out for 30 days, sometimes we would dock at certain other parts of the Atlantic coast, for Liberty or something like that. You were able to do that. Well, let me tell you something. The year, let's see, I've been on that ship since 58, 59. Let's come to the year 1960, all right? Okay, the year is 1960. We're out doing our tour, blah, 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 blah. But they come over the loudspeaker system and said, well, gentlemen, we're going to, I'm paraphrasing this. They don't talk that nice to you. They just kind of spit it out. We're gonna be docking in West Palm Beach, Florida, for a couple, 10 days, 2 weeks. I forget the exact time, but you'll get a chance to have some liberty there, and blah 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 blah. So anyway, we're fine, okay, we're going, and I told my parents, my mother, found out that I was going to be in West Palm Beach, Florida. And my Aunt Helene, all right, who is my mother's sister, oldest sister, and who my mother really kind of idolized, because she became the first nurse out of the family, the first college graduate and all this. And she made a something for herself. Lives in Fort Lauderdale, which is close to West Palm Beach. And would you please call her and just tell her, let her see, because I knew her from when I was younger. We did visit her. She knew who I was and blah. So anyway, we go to West Palm Beach, and I do the thing. I call her up and, come see, I'll pick you up and you come. I said, all right. So this friend of mine, we had a Liberty Day off the ship, and she came and picked us up, and we talked and blah blah blah, and she said, you ought to go, you want to go down to Miami, down there, and there's a lot of action going on down there, a lot of partying and whatever, nothing up here in this part of Florida. So long story short, my friend, his name was Jim. He was my boss, in fact, aboard ship. She said, take the car, okay? Make sure you get it back, bring it back, of course. Could you see me trying to get it aboard our ship? No. So we went down to Miami, ended up in Miami Beach, and we parked the car. Had no idea, never really been down there to Miami Beach. We'd been down to Miami early because she lived in Florida for a number of years when I was younger. Spent some time with her. But she was single now, and I think her husband, I don't know if he divorced or died. I can't remember that, but that's not important. Okay? The important thing is to know that family is love. Okay. So we get down to Miami Beach, and it's during the day. We're in our uniforms, and we have like 24-hour liberty, and we're walking down the street. It's Collins Avenue, and there's a right on the street is a diner, and we passed the diner. We're walking past the diner, just kind of looking around, and we see in the diner, see the booth, or right by the window, kind of large windows, are two ladies sitting there. And I don't know if I said it or he says, "Are you hungry?" And I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "There's a diner there. Let's go in there." Anyway, we go into the diner, but one of the reasons we went into the diner because there was two women sitting there in this booth, ladies. And we get in the booth behind them, and I'm looking directly at this one gal. She's in the booth, and she's facing me, and my buddy and her friend, girlfriend, are back to back in the booth. Okay, you got the picture, everyone? If not, we'll have drawings and put it on the board. So I look at this gal, and the first thing in my mind is I said to my friend Shannon, I said, "Wow, what a good looking." Well, I said, "Wow, this girl's sharp, good looking." I said, "This is someone I'd like to take home to my parents." I don't know. It was funny how he said that. I mean, you would think say something else, and I'm sure she was thinking the same. No, she wasn't, because she wasn't really looking at me. She was busy eating. She glanced over at me, but I kind of had this. I stared, you know. And so I didn't say anything more. And these two are talking, Jim and Susan's girlfriend, Ida. And of course, he's older than I am and a little more. He said, would you like to go out with us today? And they talk it over, and they said, "Well, we have to go in the restroom. We'll be back. We're just going to go check the restroom." I thought maybe they were going to get out of there. These guys are weird. But they wouldn't. No, they went into the restroom, and their conversation, which I learned later, was that, "Okay, but we'll just take them to where our hotel is, where there's a dance floor, and there's a place and lounge." Yeah, thank you. And if there's a problem, we're right there at the hotel. We can just dump them, and the sayonara. So while they're in there, we're talking, and Jim says he noticed that when they got up, Susan, or the one I was looking at, noticing, was a little taller than Ida. And Jim was taller he was like 6'1", and I was 6 foot. No, I'm not very tall. But that doesn't mean anything. It's the heart issue. Boring, stay awake. All right, back to my size, my height. I'm short, but anyway, they left to go out, and they knew we had a car. My aunt's car was a 2-door sedan, and as we walked out, Jim paired off with Susan to walk to the car, and I paired off with Ida, which, no problem, that's where he wanted it. So we get to the car, and because it's a 2-door car, had to open up the passenger side and then let people get in the back. And Susan noticed that Jim was waiting for her to get in the back with him in the back seat, and she jumped in the front seat because she knew it was my car, or my aunt's car, and I was going to be driving. So he looked at me and I looked at him, and I can remember just going, you know, all right. And of course, a little tingle in my, I just, yes. So anyway, they decide to just go to the hotel, which is across the street. So I can't remember if we actually drove the car, or I guess we did. I don't know, because the hotel was right nearby. And anyway, we park the car, get out of the car, and we go into the lounge at the hotel that they're staying at. And we go into the lounge, and it's not crowded. It wasn't crowded because it was a day. It was during the day, but there were some people in there. But they had a quartet on the bar playing music, and they had the dance floor. And so after getting a round of drinks, I asked Susan to dance. And we went out. She said, yeah, you know. And we're dancing. And so we're dancing, and I'm dancing with her and look it up. And I look at this guy at the bar playing one of the musical instruments. And I go, I know that guy. That's Willie Rester from Willie! Hey! I'm yelling, you know. And I thought maybe they'd call security, but no. Shore Patrol. Willie, hey, Willie, Allentown. And he goes, oh, hey, Allentown, hey, sailor. And next thing you know, we're kind of conversing a little bit, not a lot, but he said, Allentown. I said, yeah, Allentown. I said, Dorney Park. Oh, yeah, way to go. Yeah. Anyway, the long story short, for you people who are from Allentown or maybe care about, I don't know, Willie Westrom was a big name in Allentown, Pennsylvania, for his music on Friday nights. The band played at Dorney Park, where people went to the lounge, drink, and dance. And this was a big thing in Allentown, going to Dorney Park. So when I said that, I mean, right away, I said, hey, sailor, way to go, blah, blah, blah. So I looked at Susan, and she was like, Anyway, we drank. No, we didn't drink a lot, no. But we got along. We were talking, and we hit it off. And I was happy about that because man, a beautiful girl like that talking to me, really, I never had that opportunity to really carry on a conversation with a beautiful woman like that. And I'm being honest when I say it. So it was kind of cool for me. And then we went to, we decided to go to another place to just to enjoy, so we left the hotel, and I don't think they came with us. I think we just worked out, because this place that we went to was walking distance. It was right there, on the beach though. Moonlight on the beach, me. And this beautiful woman, her name is Susan, and we're talking, and we're carrying on a decent conversation. And we actually walked on the beach a little bit, and the song was playing, the Rubber Tree playing, and we got talking about our personal lives. And I don't know if you told me that you were Catholic before or after you told me you were engaged. I'm not sure. But at this moment in our relationship, those two topics came up, okay? And the first topic, I'm not sure either, but Susan told me that she was engaged. Now, you heard about me with that ship going to Europe.
Here
you know,
comes another ship.
and well, guess what? It was like the same thing, except this ship had Susan on it, and she said she was engaged, and I'm like, whoa, you know. But I held my cool. I was pretty good. I held my cool because there was no restroom nearby, and I was afraid. So anyway, she told me she was engaged, and so we kept talking. I mean, it didn't end up in like, oh, crying out loud, find your own way home or something. No, I was, you know, and then but she told me, in all honesty, she was very good about it. She said, I'm Catholic, and he doesn't want to get married in a Catholic church. And me being Catholic, raised Catholic, like I said, 12 years of Catholicism, you know, and a practicing family, that I said, I came out with the fact, I said, oh, you can't let that happen. Don't let that happen. I said, you don't give up your faith. He can get married in a Catholic church, because I knew he could, but he didn't want to. And we didn't really say anything more about. I don't think we did, but I just said, well, don't lose your faith. And I can't remember anything more of the topic at this moment of the relationship with her being engaged. And I didn't want to hear anything more. I was just kind of, you know. So we left. I mean, we carried on a conversation for a while, and then it was time to, it was getting late. We had to be back to the ship, and I had my aunt's car, blah, blah. So anyway, we leave, okay? We left, and friends, you know, when I'm just friends, and on the way back to Fort Lauderdale, I said to Jim, I said, man, she's engaged. He goes, oh man. I said, yeah, what a bummer, you know. You know, talking like that, like, geez. Oh well, okay, what's for breakfast? You know. And we get back to the ship, and a couple of days go by, I think, or, you know, and I didn't, and I don't know who made the phone call. Jim might have made the phone call, because I guess he had Ida, or knew where she was at. And he comes to me this second day, and he says, hey, guess what? I was just talking to Ida. I'm paraphrasing here, but yeah, they'd like to see us again. And I'm going, yeah? Why would I want to see her? She's engaged, you know? He says, I don't know, but let's go. I mean, you know, it's gonna have a fun time. And I'm saying, oh man, I don't want to go. Gotta get the car, my aunt. He says, come on, let's go, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, all right. Because he said she wanted to see it. It wasn't just. So, here we are. Ho, ho, ho. Yep. Anyway, we started our romance. That's when the courting started, the dating started. I still had time to go in the Navy. It was March of 1960, and I wasn't getting out of the service till January of 1961. So we had a communication romance. And we didn't have all the phones and things that you have now. No Zoom. The only Zoom was hoping that your letter would make it on time or whatever. Zoom. But yeah, we communicated for almost 9 months, whatever it was, and met a couple of times. I took her to meet my parents. I did it. she met my parents, and they thought the world of her. I knew they would. I mean, well, you don't realize how this woman saved my life. Seriously. I mean, if God hadn't put her in with me, I don't know where I would be at this time. And I mean it. I'm serious about that. She is a giving person. She's a lovely person. Yeah. And I got out of the service in 1961, in January of 1961, the end of January, January 30th. And we talked about marriage. I proposed again. I mean, I don't know what oh my goodness. In fact, the day I got out of the service, the ship was in Newport. I think the Whittick was up in Newport, Rhode Island at the time. That's either. But I had God bless you. But I was out. I got my discharge papers. I had all that stuff. My discharge, honorable discharge, and one of the guys aboard the ship was from Norwalk, and he had a car. And he drove me to Norwalk. He lived in Norwalk. Dominic was his last name. Dominic. His father owned a Dominic Fuel in Norwalk. And on the way to Norwalk, you know, you had to refresh yourself. And I refreshed myself with some alcohol. Yeah, and I didn't know where Susan was I had your phone number, I guess, right? But she knew I was getting out, of course, and I was coming into Norwalk. So he wanted to get home and all that, get rid of this guy who's in the back seat, half 3 sheets to the wind. And it was a Shell station, I think it was. He drops me off at a Shell station on the post road. Hey, see you later, McGorry. Hey, thanks for the ride. Oh, hey. And here I am at this Shell station. It's dark now. And I guess, I don't know if I called you. I must have called you. Hey, Susan. Oh, okay, where are you? I'm at the Shell station on the post road. And she knew where it was. Okay, I'll come and get you. I'm going to come and get you. Okay, hon, love you. I think, I don't know if I said that or not, but you should say it. It's important for all of us. When you're talking to someone and you're going to hang up or something, the family, well, even love you. Okay, try to remember that. So I'm at the Shell station, and I am feeling pretty good. My baby's coming to pick me up. So remember about the ship, the Whittick? I mean, the Miles C. Fox leaving, and when Susan said she was engaged and kind of leaving, I mean, a similar incident, but not as bad. Susan pulls into the station, okay? And there's a guy driving the car. And, hey, Joe, you know, and I think, oh, hey, oh, Uber? Or there's no Uber drivers back then, so I knew it wasn't a cab. So anyway, I get in the back seat, and she's sitting in the front seat with this guy driving, and introduces me to him. I can't remember who he was, but his name. But takes us to Newtown Avenue. Okay, and he drops us off. I mean, you know, it was a friendly, nothing. I didn't say anything nasty or anything like that. You didn't either, and dropped us off. And it's late. I mean, it's pretty dark, and I'm in a good mood. I mean, hey, Mr. Gage. Ho, hey. Ho, good. Here I am. You know, and I'm making a fool of myself and making a lot of noise. And Susan, she's trying to take it easy, take it easy. You know, I'm out of the Navy. I got discharged, you know. And I don't know if a light came on or anything, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. The only thing I can remember is Susan's car was at the Newtown Avenue. Is she's got to get me out of here. I mean, get us out of here. So the only safe place that she could think of, which is a safe place, and I appreciated it at that time, but I'm still feeling good, was over at her grandmother's farm, where her uncle, Pete. Uncle Pete lived. Pete would be that guy. He had my personality, like, you know. So she drives us over there to Pete's, and I'm still feeling pretty good. But I mean, Pete is there, you know, and everything's okay, you know. I can't remember too much of the rest of the night there, other than I went to bed, or so. I don't think anything. You probably went home.
They took you in.
Yeah, yeah. But and I had to get to Allentown too. I mean, I was only staying there just to see Susan and just have a party or something. The next thing I remember, Pete, you know, he was fine, and I had a hangover while I was part of the. But then I don't know if it was that same day or the next day. I was heading for Allentown. I mean, I had to get to Allentown. So I remember your mother dropping me off at the post road, I guess it was, yeah. I was going to hitchhike into New York to get a train or a bus to get to Allentown. So that was it might have been a day or two after, I'm not sure. I can't remember that. But anyway, I went to Allentown, and then you're always home, yeah. I got home, and Dennis was the only one home, my mom and dad. I think my dad picked me up at the... Anyway, I get home, and well, I get home, and you know, got to find a job, you know, and I go to a place where they hire people, or to get to see what I'm good at, what I'm good for, you know, just to find out I'm out of the service. And I was good at figures and reading, you know, math type of things. Okay. And then I go kind of looking for a job, and there weren't any jobs really I couldn't find. I mean, I didn't look that hard. I mean, I was looking, but time was going by, and I talked to Susan. She knew I was, you know, home, and my parents were home. And I remember talking to Susan this one night. I was only home about 3 or 4 days, and I remember talking to Mommy this one night, and she says, and she said, because I told her I couldn't finally get a job, and she says, why don't you come up to Connecticut? Just come up to Connecticut. And I said, oh, you know, how God works. And I said, yeah, maybe I will. So I get off the phone, and I can remember coming downstairs because the phone was upstairs, and my parents are sitting in the living room. And I told them I was talking to Susan, and they knew Susan and they liked her. I mean, there wasn't anything, you know. I'm 21 now. I just turned 21, and so I mean, hey, got the world on a string. Susan called, yes, let you come and bring yourself to me. No, she didn't do that. But I said to my parents, I said, Mom, Dad, I think I'm going to go to Connecticut. And the tears flowed from, no, they didn't flow. In fact, one of the first words out of my mom's mouth was, you're going to need a suitcase. Oh, yeah. True story, John. I mean, true story. Anyway, the next day, my mother takes me to the store. And guess what we bought? Or I think she bought it, probably. I don't know. A suitcase full of tears. No, a suitcase. And a couple of days or 3 days later, I'm up early in the morning. My suitcase is packed. I've told Susan that I'm coming to Connecticut. And mother says, before we go, you better go and just wake your dad up and tell him you're leaving. I mean, he knew I was leaving. But in all honesty, I kind of, and I shouldn't, because retail business, it's really, really, it's not good. Hours are bad, and he's, worked hard. But I went up and I woke him up and told him I was leaving. And he had to go take a whiz. No. He was, we left. I left. And my brother Dennis, I just went in the bedroom and looked at him. But he was 16. He was 16 at the time. He was running papers, I think. Yeah, he had a paper out. So mother took me to the bus stop. And got on the bus heading for New York. And see ya. She smiled. Now I think she was crying. Maybe she was, Mom. She might have been. Which, hey, we'd laugh about it now. I mean, gosh, it was 60 years ago. 62 years ago. I got to New York, and I don't know if I hitchhiked to Norwalk or took a bus. Oh, that was waiting. When I had to wait a while. I think maybe I was taking a bus because I stopped at a restaurant to get something to eat. There was a bar. It was during the day. And I'm sitting at the bar. They had one TV on. And I'm just kind of watching the TV. I ordered something to eat. I think I was waiting for the bus to come. I was going to go that way. And this guy comes in. And I'm sitting there, and the bar is empty. I was the only one at the bar. It was the middle of the day. And next thing I feel a hand on my leg. Yay, kukahani, as my mother would say. What the? You know, and this guy, he's kind of smiling. I go, yo, bartender. Yo, bartender. Yeah, come here. I remember this. I said, see this guy sitting next to me? I said, if you don't want to have a fight in here, do you? I mean, you don't want me to get all upset and get mad. And as soon as I said that, the guy's hand moved and he kind of walked away. You know, he left. But welcome to New York. And that's, people, I'm telling you, it's so sad. So sad. It's wrong. It's wrong. God made you in the image of, you know, man and a woman. Not a man and a man and a woman and a man. Okay? So, anyway, kind of spoiled my lunch, but I finished it though. And then I went up to Connecticut. And it was it was January, right? Yeah, it was February. We were in February, and we were gonna get married in March. I mean, we had planned. We were, you know. And then we found out that because we were Catholic, okay, we had to wait. It was Lent. No marriages in Lent at St. Philip's Church, right? St. Philip's Church. So we had to wait till April. And April 29th was the day that we chose to get married. And your mother, God, boy, I'll tell you, what a blessing. What a blessing Susan has been to me. She had rented an apartment on Hulda Hill Road in Wilton, Connecticut. And that's where I stayed till we got married. And after we got married for a while. 69 Hulda Hill Road in Wilton. But I am blessed. I'm just trying to, yeah. So in between that.
Do you want to take a break for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, back again. You notice I don't have my cap on because I just got discharged from the Navy, and now I'm a citizen. And being a citizen means that your responsibility is to the people around you and your neighborhood and where you work. And speaking of working, I had to find a job now. You know, nothing like some people nowadays don't, you know, it's to work is, you know, they want to start at the top. Well, maybe if you can do it, if you can start at the top, okay, but sometimes it's not really that good to start at the top just because you're making a little more money. But responsibility, are you ready for it? Everyone's different. Okay, my responsibility was to kind of start at the bottom. But I was able to come to Connecticut and through Susan, and a friend of her dad's who worked at a company called Perkin-Elmer, I found a job. So I started there right away, basically, at this company, In fact, this company is still a large worldwide company today. It still is. And lived up in Wilton. And we were preparing for our wedding, which would be April 29th. That's a story in itself, the wedding day. Anyway, the story in itself, I guess the day, I believe it was a Saturday, and it was at 11 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning at St. Philip's Church. And I asked the pastor there if I could have my cousin, who was a Franciscan priest, perform the ceremony. And he said, oh yeah, no problem. And so, they made note of that, and what time was the wedding to be, and okay, we'd show up, and arrangements were made. I thought they were all taken care of. And the day of the wedding, we get to the church plenty of time before the wedding starts. And guess what? The doors are locked. The church is locked. We can't get in. So, made a phone call to get the church unlocked, which they did. They unlocked the church, and we were able to get inside, which is good. That's a good start. And then, of course, we had to have someone turn the lights on, which they did. And then that person or persons, I don't know what happened, either left or, hid in the confessional or something. I don't know. But we had no access to casket for the priest to wear, garments for the priest to wear, the cassock, and to light the candles, to get that started, and waiting for the altar boys. Figured that they would know where, that was kind of like the mindset. And no altar boys show up, and it's getting ready for the ceremony to begin. So we take it upon ourselves to start looking through drawers and to finally we find the cassock for the priest to wear, and find matches, find the tool to light the candles,